Slow Robot OK. Hi again. I'm back as promised with a video about my music. So we're going to take a look at a song called Just a Taste from the new album that has just come out on Friday called Becoming Sane by Slow Robot, yours truly. And I really like it. This is one of my favorite songs from the album. And this actually I actually released this on SoundCloud a couple of years ago. So it's not really a new song for the album, but it fit the vibe of the album, what I wanted to say with the album. So I wanted to include it. And it, like I said, it's one of my favorite songs. Well, it's not just on the album, but one of my favorite songs I've ever written. And so we're going to go through some of it. I'm just going to kind of figure out how I'm going to do this as I go, talk about different things that I like about it. I did write down a few notes and stuff that I don't want to forget, to hit, but, yeah, let's just get into it. So let's take a listen to the very beginning here, and I'll talk about that. So this may sound somewhat familiar to you if you are a fan of the TV show called Stranger Things. And so I didn't mean to completely rip it off. It's kind of interesting because I believe that this was done using at the time it was called Solar 5. I think Solar 5 is what it was called. It was a new rack extension that had come out, and I really like the sound. Yeah, it's actually called Solar 5 in here. And I really liked it. And in the video that the demo video, they actually, I don't know if they recreated it, but something about Stranger Things was mentioned or something. And I was like, oh, I gotta have that. I gotta try that out. So I got the thing, and this whole like music, that's where the whole thing kind of started from, was that Stranger Things kind of ripoff. And when I say kind of ripoff, what I did to make it different was I changed it to 5/4. So it's not in 4/4 like the original is. So because I wanted to hear what it would sound like as something in a different time signature. So that's kind of, I don't even think I really intended to keep it in there once I got past a certain point with the song, but I think once I got to the second verse and I had kept it in there in that second verse, like the intro going into the second verse, I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm committed now. But yeah, so that was the kind of the thing that started this whole song. But yeah, it's one of my favorite like just weird things that I just managed to, or ended up keeping in a song. I'm just going to turn this off so we can get through this a little more efficiently here. All right, cool. So that was that. And then one of the things I really love about this song is the groove. Like throughout the whole thing, I love the groove that I was able to get on the drums, which I think it's a BFD refill, because I started this before they had VSTs. I normally use Addictive Drums, but I think, yeah, this will be pretty sure that it's a BFD. Yeah, it is BFD core refill. It's a good refill. Sounds really good for the most part. There are some weird things that I don't care for about it, or there were. I can't even remember what they are, but it sounds great here. I did a lot of processing to kind of dirty up the sound and make it really kind of just gritty. But yeah, the here's the groove. Again, still in 5/4, and I love this groove. Such a simple beat. Hear the little ghost notes on the snare. I love that. And this is one of the things that I try to do whenever I'm working in an odd time signature. It's kind of important for me to try and keep a groove to it. Like, I don't want to do a weird time signature just to do a weird time signature. I always want it to feel like it's still moving forward. I say always, but there are sometimes, examples where you kind of want to just you want to throw people for a loop or whatever. But for the most part, like, whenever I'm using a odd time signature, that's what I'm going for. I want to keep that. I don't want you to lose that pulse. I don't want you to I want you to still be able to bob your head, even if it's not in a time signature that you're normally used to listening to. But yeah, so that's cool. And then I think this is where the horns come in, and the horns are cool because, horns are just cool. I like it this way so I can see the whole thing. And let's see if I can find it. There it is. Yeah. Okay. So I actually pass it. So here's the horns. I love the horns. So the horns are up front there, but they were originally intended just to augment the guitar that's going on there. And I kind of realized as I was mixing it that, like, the horns are cooler. Like, the guitar actually better augments the horns than the other way around. So let me see if I can find the guitar part. So you can see there's a lot of tracks in here. Let's see, is this? No, that's just the rhythm guitar. And you might, if you're familiar at all with the Mars Volta, this may sound like very reflective of that. It's I love the Mars Volta, and this is one of my favorite, like, guitar lines that I've ever come up with, because it's not like melodic, like in a catchy way, like you might normally like I might normally write, but it's really just it's just cool. I like angular stuff like this. The effects that are going on there, a little bit of modulation of some kind. I could find that, but I don't want to get too bogged down with this. Yeah, so that's cool. And then I'm going to say that's cool like a billion times, because I think this song is cool. That's what it's cool. It's cool. All right, let's keep going here. I think yeah. So it kind of comes back. The first verse is broken up by you get the kind of instrumental parts, and then a vocal, and then more instrumental parts, and then I think it goes back to more vocals. So it's just kind of a way to keep the verse interesting over a longer stretch, rather than just doing vocals the whole way through. And then it comes into the chorus, which I love because it's just kind of huge sounding. And you can hear here, this is in 4/4, so it switches from 5/4 into 4/4 for the chorus. And part of the reason that I did that is because it flows a little better for that section, but really that's kind of a way to add tension and then release it. So when you're playing in a time signature that most people don't really gravitate to most of the time. 5/4 is an odd time signature. It kind of has this internal tension to it, and taking that and using that throughout a verse is a great way to kind of keep the tension up. And then if you go into a chorus and you take that into a 4/4 or a 3/4 or something more common, it's a good way to release that tension. And so I think that's something I do quite a bit, I think, when I'm working with odd time signatures. But one of the things I wanted to talk about in the chorus is like the bass line and the drum beat. Still, again, I really love this drum beat here. Oh, this one. So you can hear this one. It's a lot cleaner. I'm not. It's not all dirty like the verse drums are, which is obviously on purpose. I think it opens up, so that's another kind of release thing, the tension and release the dirt in the verse, and then it opens up in the chorus, and it's 4/4, and it sounds a lot wider and more open. And then, so let's take a listen. Pretty busy, but one of the things I tried to do, I think I tried to do that. I'm not always the most consistent with this stuff, but I try to generally keep my drums, my programmed drums, in a way. I try to program them in a way that they could be played by a live drummer. Obviously, if I was doing this today, again, I did this probably 2 or 3 years ago, but if I were doing this today, I wouldn't be pegging all of this to, these are all almost, like, that's 99, but looks like it may be 87 looks like that may be one of the lightest hits in this section, which, most of this looks like it's pegged to 127 velocity, which, it works for the part, and I like that for the part, but, a drummer doesn't play like that. They're not hitting their cymbals at 127, the maximum velocity at all times, but it still sounds good here. And so, it brings the way it is, it brings the energy. So I'm happy with it, but I wouldn't do that if I were to program this today. But yeah, you can see I tried to, make it pretty busy. I wanted it to be pretty busy, but I also, like, these I think are toms. Yep. So you can see I've got one limb, so that's a one limb hit, tom, it's another limb, and then the foot. So as I'm programming this, I'm trying to keep in my mind, like, what a drummer can physically do. They have 2 arms and 2 legs in most cases. So I try to not overdo it. Like, if you're programming drums, it's really easy to be like, oh, well, he's hitting all 3 toms at the same time and 2 cymbals and the snare. Like, you can do that, but it doesn't necessarily sound realistic if you do it that way. So I wanted to kind of keep it sounding fairly realistic. So I kept that in mind while I was doing this. And then the other thing I really like about the chorus, again, is the bass. So this is what the bass is doing. Very buzzy, but with the kit. And that, I think, is the most, like, driving kind of part of the chorus. Like, there's not, there are guitars in here, but they're really just filling out the top end, along with some of the choir voices that I have in here, this massive choir. But I mean, the guitar isn't really doing anything crazy, it's just filling out the top end there. But yeah, the meat of it is definitely in the drums and in the bass, and I really like that there. And then it comes back into the verse, the second verse, and so you'll hear it goes again back to that, the Stranger Things rip off, and then goes back into the verse. Stranger Things. And I really liked how it made that transition sound. So pretty straightforward there. And then the other cool thing I like about the verse, and specifically with the vocals, I have some crazy kind of vocal chain going here, some really weird stuff. So let me see if I can't see what I got going on here. Where are you? Here. Okay, so this guy is going into verse vox overall. So that's this guy. And I think all of the, let's see. Yeah, okay. So, oops. Let's hear this. I don't even think that's not even this. That's yeah, that might be on the actual individual. I love that because it's so weird, and I love doing stuff like that. Really weird kind of sound effects, like throwing that into a mix. Let me see if I can find it. So this is the downside of doing it by, off the cuff, and not having touched this session in a couple months. And I probably did this vocal part like I definitely did this vocal part a few years ago. So where is that coming from? That's not what I want. Whoa. What the heck? I don't see any meters going, but I can hear the sound. I'll go back to it. His words the guide. And it fits with the vibe of the song too. Like the song is about it's kind of political. It's about the election in 2016, and the viewpoints that came with that. And I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but it's kind of just distorted in the way that kind of the news cycle has been distorted. So that's kind of the impetus for that that sound. I want to see. I don't know where that is coming from. I mean, it's been so long I'd have to look it up. But yeah, I mean, I love that sound effect. That's just really cool to me. And then we get to the bridge. So this is where my later in life, I I say later, but it really wasn't that much later. But once I was in my mid 20s, I started getting into a lot of progressive rock, like the Mars Volta, like I mentioned, the Deer Hunter, Dredge, and that kind of thing, and a Tool. And so I have this kind of tendency to try and build in these kind of like epic parts and like stuff that kind of gets real intimate and then builds back up. And so this is a good example of that. It goes from this kind of cacophonous chorus down to a really quiet bridge that then just builds back up. And I really like the desolation that you kind of get in the first like when the bridge first comes in. That sound actually comes in earlier, but because of how Reason plays it back, I didn't start it at the right time. I love this rising sound here. Just really subtle, but that's one of my favorite kind of ear candy moments. So that's the bridge. Like it's nice and mellow there, and then it kind of cuts back across from that back into the chorus, and that's what this is what. Oh, the other thing that's cool in here is the guitar. I'm doing something that and again, I'm not a theory guy, so I don't know. I couldn't tell you what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure one of the notes that I'm bending to or from is outside of the what do you call it, the scale that you would normally associate with this part. So it kind of adds this other kind of tension to it. And right here, love that. That's so cool. We'll listen through the rest till the transition. More transition sounds. So the thing that's cool here is that I think there's also there's a tempo change in here that I didn't even realize. So I'm so used to hearing these songs that some of this stuff I forget about. Like, it's the normal tempo of the song is 75, but that bridge is at 67 BPM, and then it comes back, I think, pretty much instantaneously when it hits this next block here. Yep, right to 77, and that's triggering some of that weird delay stuff too, which is kind of neat side effect. Picks back up. And so another thing that I did a lot on this album, especially, is that kind of call and response vocal in the last chorus. So as you could hear in the first two choruses, it's a very busy chorus to begin with. There's already a lot going on, and you gotta, when you get to that last chorus, you gotta make it's gotta be all out, right? And so one of the cool things that I like to do is if I can come up with a cool harmony or a call and response vocal like that like is a way to kind of fill it out without necessarily adding more. I mean, you are adding more stuff, but it's like you're adding more vocals into the empty spot where you're not normally singing. And that's not really it's not taking up space in with the existing chorus vocal, if that makes sense. It's just filling out the whole thing rather than having one section where you're singing and then, you know, the music and then you're singing again and then more music. It's vocals through the whole section. But I really love the call and answer melody that I was able to come up with here.
Down on mouths and down on chins and we'll say, just stick out your tongue and have a taste.
And you see it ends right on that last response of the call and response. So yeah, that's just a taste of just a taste. I think I made that joke the last time I did a video about my own music, but yeah, I mean, this is fun for me, not just talking about my music. Obviously I enjoy talking about my music, but again, to the point I made in the last video, like, I want to see more of this. I wish more people would do this, and I hope more people start to do this. I hope anybody that sees this, if anybody does, it just gives a little bit of thought to doing this kind of thing when you're putting your music out, taking your song, this thing that you put so much time and energy into, and really just expressing what it is you love about it, so that when somebody else hears it, they can understand where that love is coming from, especially if they're not familiar with or used to kind of the type of music that you're putting out there. So hopefully somebody enjoyed this, and yeah, till the next time, take care.